Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. Today, we're going to be talking about Tezos, its valuations against Bitcoin, as well as the US dollar. Um, Talking about the recent move. Now, if you like this video and the other videos that I make on this channel, be sure to hit the like button down below and also consider subscribing. Um, for a long time, and it was pretty much the duration of this move here, where we talked about Tezos, talked about how historically this is a pretty good time to buy Tezos with your Bitcoin, and so on and so forth. And the ultimate goal is to see Tezos kind of reach its prior highs against Bitcoin. Now, naturally, the U.S. dollar would be different from here than at these Bitcoin levels here, translated over to the Bitcoin levels here, multiplied by the price of Bitcoin. I believe this was in July, March. Bitcoin was at $64,000. If we were to get there today, the dollar price would obviously be different. Regardless of that, um, this is this is controversial to say. I think I think it's any time a coin starts pumping like this, is to stick to the plan, right? And for me, uh, obviously it was to accumulate at lower levels and wait for the move. I've been staking my Tezos ever since, and now because we are now seeing the move, we've talked about how Tezos would need to have a close above this area, this line here, to give any kind of indication that further movement to the upside is possible, right? The last attempts were just wicks for the week, um, and so it's still quite possible that we kind of retrace back down to the line and sit there for a little bit. However, if we are closing the week at this level, then the path of least resistance, if you will, or the most likely trend would be up. Having said that, um, it won't go on forever, and this is and going forward, like if it actually is the latter, if this is the move that brings us to the higher points of the chart, my narrative is going to shift. My narrative is now not that it's a decent buy, it's now I'm selling my positions, and that's what's happening, right? I've placed a limit order around this area, intending to sell a portion, about 10% of my Tezos stack. And I will continue to do so. The higher it goes, the more that I sell at a given time. Now, that's why I say it's controversial. You see people on Twitter starting to shill it. You see people on Reddit, like, our cryptocurrencies. When do you ever see Tezos being talked on the daily thread? But now I'm starting to see it. So people are talking about buying it, and I'm here saying that I'm starting to sell my position. Now it's obviously you can argue that it's early, and I would agree with you. It is early, but again, it's 10% of my Tesla stack here. About 30% to 40% is going to be up here if it does go up that high. So keep that in mind. My positions will get my position sell positions will become higher the higher it goes. Um, Later on, if we do reach the upper points of the chart, we can definitely start talking about possibly getting higher. And I'll keep a little bit of Tezos if that were to be the case. But I would say a majority of my Tezos is going to be sold up here. Now, your plan might be different. You might be a long-term holder of Tezos, in which case this chart probably doesn't even matter to you. But I just want to be transparent about it, and and I'm never gonna just keep on saying that Tezos is a great buy, right? When we're looking at the charts, at some point it's gonna have to change, and we're in the midst of that change. Should things continue on like they have been the past 3 weeks, right? The week of August 23rd, we saw a 56% move up on the week, which makes it the biggest weekly move on the Tezos Bitcoin chart on Bitfinex, at least in its history, right? Like this, the closest one comes to 54%. We had a 56% move. This week we're having a 36% move. Things are getting pretty wild, and oddly enough, it's when people start really starting to shill it on Twitter and Reddit is when I start, starting to sell my positions. This is what I did with VeChain. If you guys may or may not know, I did have a VeChain position. I accumulated here. I bought it with Ethereum and I sold it all the way up. Now, again, I did not get to sell it up here. The closest was I think around this level here is where I did my last sell of VeChain. But consider where the price is now and where I bought it from. I would say it was a pretty good trade, if I do say so. If I do say so myself. So yeah, this is kind of the introductory video on Tezos on if this move is going to continue. I am going to start sharing, like creating videos on my selling projections, my selling points, right? And being transparent and saying that I'm selling like I'm starting to sell my position now, and I will continue to do so the further it goes up. Let me know what you guys are doing. If you're a long-term holder of Tezos, are you considering buying Tezos now? I'd love to hear your opinion. When we look at the US dollar chart, this is a little bit more miffed. We talked about on the US dollar chart that there's points of resistance with Tezos, right? And clear support lines for Tezos on the macro chart. And now we're kind of getting to the upper bounds of the line, right? Like if we were to go up to the top this week, that would be projecting about a $10 Tezos. And again, the possibilities of it to continue higher are quite high, quite possible, and I wouldn't put it past Tezos, especially because of recently smart contract assets have been really moving, and I would suspect that that's why Tezos is moving as well. It's a smart contract project, and therefore it's kind of lumped in there, and everyone's trying to get a piece of the pie, so to speak, regardless of what asset it is. If it's a smart contract, people are interested. And so yeah, that's essentially it, folks. So the videos of me talking about Tezos being a good accumulation buy here is I think going to be of the past. And forward, it's talking about how overheated are we getting near the top? What other factors are there currently that could turn this around, and creating strategies to help mitigate your risk, but maximizing your return, right? So that's talking about the RSI. Where are we on the RSI? We're pretty high. It's well, not pretty high. We're still neutral. It's 62.96. We've obviously gotten higher before, right? So like 75.88 on the weekly has been the highest point of the RSI, and that could definitely be something that we would see in the future, right? So like if we're say at 22,000 satoshis as an example, and we're at 80, then it gets to a point of like, okay, maybe we're moving up too quickly. This might be like a local top for the macro chart of Tezos versus Bitcoin, and therefore maybe I'll be selling my position a little quicker than prior assumptions, right? This, like, trading is a moving target, and Tezos is definitely a moving target right now. It's moving quickly, it's moving fast, it's moving big, and it's all about trying to just mitigate your risks and maximizing your returns. And I think selling your positions over time, the higher it goes, is a good way to do that, right? There's other people that do other things. This is how I do it. And so, yep, that is all for today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye bye.